You can't outrun yourself. Let's talk about that. Hello, hi, Thunderhawk Coaching, Will here. So today the video is called You Can't Outrun Yourself. And I want to talk about this when I think about people that go to therapy or go to counselling or think something's wrong, that there is some kind of weird error or thing that isn't like lining up in life, right? If I would use the fancy word that they use in the counselling space, it'd be incongruence, which means parts about what you're going through don't really line up. I feel like somebody passed away, but I'm not sad, right? That's like things don't line up kind of feeling. And I bring this up because when you're trying to make any kind of change, ultimately it comes from an emotional place, right? It's the reason I've come to the conclusion I have about the type of coaching I do, that I've given people plans, things to do, and given them action and things to do, and like that's helpful at certain parts in the process. But like ultimately at the start, people aren't ready for change. And this video is called "You Can't Outrun Yourself" because how you feel about your life, the deep emotional conflicts that you carry with you every day, you can't outrun that. You cannot do more to avoid that. If you have really deep emotional challenges, I certainly do, a lot of people do, ACEs are very common, adverse childhood experiences, you need to directly engage with that, because that is kind of affecting your ability to like move forward with life. Like that's kind of something I've learned thousands of hours I've done of coaching now, that if you dance around or you try and make like quick fixes to the ultimate emotional problems in front of you, you're not going to move. You're just going to keep failing. And you may ask, like, how do I do that? You're going to have to feel some feelings you don't want to feel, and that's going to happen when you build a trusting, steady relationship with somebody that cares about you and wants to hear how you're feeling, and go to places you probably have never gone with anyone else, because you need to be really like open with yourself and honest with yourself, because the lies we tell, they fool us first, and we try and help other people be fooled later. And it's really kind of insidious to yourselves, especially, and I speak about this from experience. There are like lies I told myself when I was 30 stone, 400 plus pounds, that like it were other factors that were kind of getting in my way, and things just weren't lining up. I was trying and I was failing, but like the reality was that like there were a lot of emotional things that I couldn't accept and engage with that got in the way of me making the behavioral changes. And that's why like talking stuff out and like emptying what's in your head is really important. For me, I went through like a decent amount of like emotional trauma, I would say, and that was having me go in this comfort eating loop, right? And I kept trying to do exercise and stuff and trying to manage my calories, but ultimately it was about how I felt about exercise, how I felt about food. It's what food was doing for me emotionally that led to me constantly eating in a way that led to me getting so huge. So I believe that's kind of where the root of it is. You can't outrun yourself, just like you can't outrun a bad diet. If you're eating because you're in emotional turmoil, pulling away the food is going to bring up that emotional turmoil more. And if you're not processing and feeling that and then working on being present with that and accepting those feelings in a way that's safe and facilitates a better relationship with them, you're kind of stuck, right? And I kind of see this especially with people who are in really like emotionally provoking situations, really traumatic situations, really challenging relationships, They feel like they really can't move on until the relationship ends or a significant change happens, right? And that often comes from an emotional catalyst of, unfortunately, you kind of having to go, hey, no, this isn't okay, or I'm going to leave, or I'm going to accept the idea of leaving, whatever this relationship is, right? And I think this is a really hard truth, I think, for a lot of people to accept. You know, I've had to do this myself with previous jobs. I've had to do this myself with previous relationships with, you know, certain friendships or relationships with certain family members. There's a whole process before the ending of something that I think a lot of people don't acknowledge. I think there's a lot of grief in this, and you know, more action doesn't come till later, my friends, is what I'm trying to say. And I think a lot of people initially go, something isn't right, I need to do something. Doing doesn't always lead to the best results because your emotions are clouding your judgment in that moment, which, like, they always do. We're all emotional beings. But you're not working with them, you're working against them, right? You're like, I feel this feeling I don't like, I'm going to push it away. I'm going to go do this thing to get the feelings away from me. But that's going to make things a lot harder because the feelings are going to go, well, I want to be felt though, screw you. And they're going to rebel against you trying to push them. And this rebelling is going to look like you struggling just struggling even more, right? You're not going to be able to engage in maybe some of your goals as well. You're going to pull out, and then you're going to feel shame. You're going to go in the shame cycle of whatever it is, right? Of like working back up to maybe get a job, or building the next stepping stone in your career, or whatever it looks like. This emotional process, I feel, is very consistent of acknowledgement, acceptance, taking a step. Acknowledgement, acceptance, taking a step. Being open to learning what your feelings are telling you, right? Your feelings are there for a good reason. They want to protect you. They care about you. And you can't really run away from those feelings. You can't really run away from yourself. We'll try to with technology, with media, with video games, with drugs, with, you know, sex, whatever. We try and push it down with whatever vice we can find. It's a very common way to cope with these emotions. But ultimately, it doesn't feed us. It just propels the downward spiral. More and more and more. Life gets worse. We make another bad decision. We hate ourselves even more. We trust ourselves even less. Oh, look, here I go again, messing life up, doing another bad thing. And I've seen it time and time again. So, more than anything, things need to be stable, right? Things need to be steady and quiet before you can really process the emotions associated with the behaviors. So if you're in a terrifying environment, it's really hard to slow down and feel those feelings, because it's kind of dangerous too, if you think about it, right? If you think about being in front of a lion, it's going to eat your face. You don't really want to cry, you want to run, right? So if you're in an abusive household, you're not going to want to cry, you're going to want to run to protect yourself, to keep yourself safe. We do the same thing in abusive domestic relationships. We do the same in environments where we feel we can't be authentic in ourselves. We do the same where like something really activates us emotionally that happened historically, and we're taken back to that triggering traumatic event, you know. This is a lot more common than I think a lot of people care to admit. But even without those negative, strong emotions, I think also we develop these habits and behaviors for a very clear reason, right? I think that anyway. And if you can't accept that these kind of maladaptive coping mechanisms are there for a reason, it's really hard to change. It's really hard to go, hey, actually, you know, like, I like to go drinking, or whatever. I don't personally, but as an example, if you've got a really challenging relationship with drinking, that might be because there are other emotional challenges that you really struggle to accept and manage, and the idea of changing away from drinking Might be scary because drinking is actually helping you cope and manage and appear to be okay when it's actually numbing you and causing other problems elsewhere, right? So if you want to change, all of you has to change. You can't outrun yourself. I've been Will at Thunderhawk Coaching. You've been wonderful. I'm going to leave it there for today. But take care of yourself and look at yourself. Don't judge yourself, just look at yourself. I'm rooting for you. You're amazing. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.